Alright, in this tutorial we are going to show you how to build or create a Unity project and build an Android project from that to produce an APK that you can run on different Android devices. So the first thing we need to do is go ahead and start up Unity. And we can go ahead and create a new project. We'll call ours tutorial project. And it's going to load up just a basic couple of items in our scene. The middle part here is called a scene. And you have your hierarchy where your objects are located and your assets down below. Now you can configure this however you want, but this is kind of the default setup that it comes in. So one of the first things we need to do is go ahead and import our Vuforia package. So go to Import Assets, Import Package, Custom Package, and find the Vuforia package that we have transferred to our target machine that we downloaded from the Vuforia developer portal. Let's open that. And then it's going to come up and say, okay, we're ready to import. And you can see everything that it's going to import, all the Vuforia items. So go ahead and click the import. And then what you'll notice is under Asset, you'll see that it added a bunch of things here. One of them being the Vuforia folder. And if you click on the prefab, you'll see all the main things that we're going to need to be dealing with in this tutorial. But before we go there, let's go ahead and import our image target, the image that we created from the Vuforia site as well. So go back to Assets, Import Package, Custom Package, and we had named ours Tutorial DB, so there it is. So go ahead and open that and import it. It comes up in the import window, and click Import. And that actually imports fairly quickly because there's not a lot in there. The next thing that we need to do is, you'll notice that we have a main camera here. It comes up by default. We do not need this camera, so we can go ahead and delete that one. What we need is the AR camera that comes with Vuforia. So select it and drag it into our scene. And the other thing that we're going to need is our image target. So select that and drag that into our scene. And you'll notice it adds the items over here in our hierarchy. Go ahead and click on the AR camera, and you'll notice in the inspector, you'll see over here on the right hand side the transform. If you click the settings button here and click reset, what it's going to do is it moved our camera to the center. And we can do the exact same thing for the image target. So this is basically just centering everything up for us to start working. And so the next thing, since we imported our image target, what we want to do is click on the AR camera again and go down to the database load behavior section in the inspector. And what you're going to want to do, it says load dataset tutorial DB. That's our database. So go ahead and check that, and then it opens it up, and we want to activate that. And while we're on the camera, up here under the Vuforia behavior, you're going to notice a space for the app license key that we generated in our other tutorial. So you want to open that license file, copy your key. I have mine in my clipboard now, so I'll just go ahead and paste that in. That's very important. Vuforia is not going to work unless you have that license key in there. So let's go ahead and load up our image target next. So if you go to the image target object, and you're going to notice under the image target behavior, there is a data set item that is set to empty right now. If you click on that drop down, you'll see there's our tutorial DB. So go ahead and click that, and that's going to load up our target image. It's fairly large, so if you just double click on the image target, it shrinks it back down to size so it's a little more viewable. And you'll notice if you use your mouse wheel, you can scroll in and out on the image target, so if you need to get a little closer to do things, you can. That's pretty much it for loading up the image target. So the next thing we need to do is add in objects that are going to ride on our image target. Now you can get different objects. Unity has an asset store that you can download free targets from there. But what we're going to do, and again, you'll have to load up those targets on a CD and those packages on a CD, because in the asset store you can do a download. So what you'll want to do is load them up onto a CD and move them over to your target machine again. But for the sake of convenience, what you can do here is go to game object, and we can add a game object. So let's add a 3D object. Let's go ahead and add a sphere. And you'll notice it places a sphere in the hierarchy, but you can't see it. It's pretty small. So let's go ahead and scale it up. So let's go 500, 500, and you'll notice in the scene that the object is actually getting bigger. Now, you'll also notice that the image is cut in half, because when it adds it at the 000 location on the image target. So what we want to do is go to under the transform, under position, let's just do 250. And what that's going to do is that moves it up, and it's going to allow it to ride exactly on our image target. And the reason we went 250 is because that's half of what we scaled it to. Now with this, we can actually also move our object around on the image target if we want. Okay, so let's put this here, and let's go ahead and add one more, just for the sake of posterity there. Let's go ahead and add a cube. And again, I'm going to resize it, and then position it. There. Now let's move this one. That's good. Let's actually move our sphere over a little bit here. All right. Now when we have everything positioned, let's go ahead and, one important thing. Your objects have to be a child of your image target for them to show up. So what you can do is just grab the object over here and drag it up onto the image target, and it makes it a child of it. So just remember that. Again, make that a child. Now we'll go ahead and let's save our scene. Tutorial. Once we saved our scene, now we can build we're pretty much ready to build our Android project. So we go to File, Build Settings. And it's going to want to know what scenes, because you can obviously have multiple scenes, but it's going to know what. So we're going to go ahead and add the current one that we saved, Tutorial Unity. And then we want our platform to be Android. You can leave these settings alone. You don't have to change those at all. But one thing you will have to remember is before you build your project, you have to go to Player Settings. And if you'll notice, the Player Settings came up over here. The first time I did this, I didn't notice that, and I was looking all over, where's my player settings? So just remember, when you click that, it'll come up over in your inspector settings. And here you can change different things. If you wanted to put an icon for your app icon, you can. I'm just going to go ahead and leave the default Unity icon. And then where we want to go is Other Settings. So scroll to the top of Other Settings and see what we've got. The bundle identifier is really what you need to change. If you do not change this, you'll get an error when you build it. It's going to tell you, hey, you need to go ahead and change your bundle identifier off of the default one. So we will change that. And then the other things that you can change the minimum API level for your project, for your app. You know, you don't have to. You can leave it at 2.3.1. We'll just jump it down to KitKat 4.4. So that'll be the minimum that our app will run on, minimum SDK that our app will run on. You can look at some of these other things, but we don't really need to change it in order to build our project. So now just go ahead and click the build. And it's going to ask you please to name your APK. And you'll notice it's putting it into the project folder, so we'll go ahead and name it Tutorial. And what it's going to do now is it's going to go ahead and build your project. Now this is going to take a few minutes. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and let it build, and then we'll come back after it's all built. Okay, so it's finished building, and it went ahead and opened up a Windows Explorer to the location where it placed our APK. You'll notice it's in our project file. So we need to move this over to our Android device. Easiest way for us to do that is to go ahead and plug our Android device in, and then just move the file over to the device. Alright, so let's drill down into the download folder, and we'll just put it in there. So let's grab this and move it on over. It's a fairly small file, so it moved fairly quickly. And now let's show you how things work on the device. Okay, so what we now have is a printout of our image target. So just, any printer. It doesn't have to be even color. I think it works with black and white just as well. Just print out your image target so that we can use that to show. And actually, you don't even have to print it out. You can even have a picture on screen that you can point your Android device at, and it'll work that way too. We've done that before. So here we have our tablet that we loaded our application on. So what we need to do is install our app. So if we go to the My Files and device storage, and we put it in the download folder, and sure enough, there it is, tutorial APK. So we'll click on that. It's going to ask us to install. Yes. And go ahead and open it up. So you'll see powered by Unity, and it should come up with a camera, and when we, look at there, when we back up, we can actually see our objects on our device or on our image target. We can move around. I would move the paper, but I'm holding the webcam, so I'm not able to move it. I only have two hands. So. But I think you can get a pretty good image of what's going on there. It's got both of our images, both of our objects riding on top of our target image. You can take that paper, you can pick it up, move it around those objects, and move with it. So that will conclude our tutorial for this one.